how hard are these backhoes to take off? This backhoe has been on the Branson series tractors, on the 2515s, are actually all of the 15 series tractors and the 20 series tractors for a good number of years now. And the backhoe uses a frame that runs from the back of the tractor up underneath the middle of the tractor to hook the loader frame and the rear frame together. A lot of customers come in and look at this backhoe and kind of get a little bit overwhelmed by it as far as, oh my goodness, how long is it going to take me to take off? Is it something that I can even do? Is it something that I need a lot of help with? What do I do whenever I do it, or how do I do it? So I was just going to make you a video today that shows how easy this backhoe goes on and comes off of the tractor and what you need to do that. To start it, I was just going to explain a few things before we kind of get started on that, and I'll have them show you here on a camera. There's only 4 places that this backhoe is really hooked onto the tractor. There's 2 hooks back here in the back, and there's 2 pins up here in the front, and your top link, so technically 5. That's all that is that holds the backhoe on. So if you were to look back here at the back of your tractor, if you had a 15 or 20 series tractor that has a backhoe, it will be a hair different, but it's going to be virtually the same on how it goes. When you follow this subframe, back in here, you'll see a piece that looks very similar to this that is just an open-ended hook. And it's just sitting on a pin on the tractor. It slides on that, but that's open-ended. It's just a hook back here sitting on those pins. That's the front or the rear part. And then when you go up to the front, there's 2 more pins that when you're standing at this angle, kind of looking in through the tractor, you can look in through the subframe of the loader and you can see a pin right there. There's 2 of them right there. One, it might be hard to see the other one from here. Once those 2 pins are out, the backhoe can come off. So that's all that it's needed to take that off of there. So to start with it, all you do is just jump underneath it, and you need to take those 2 pins out. That is kind of the disadvantage to this style of backhoe, is you do got to get down here on the ground and you've got to pull these pins. It does hold the backhoe on, in my opinion, a hair better, but there's 1 pin. They just have a little keeper on the back. They could be a little challenging to get that keeper to come off. And there's the other one. So once you have those off, once you look back under there, there's little doors that swing down. So these are, the pin holds this door up. You're gonna pull it down so it looks like that. And that's what holds the backhoe forward and on the tractor. So with that off, it's ready to come off. So I'm gonna go start the tractor and have them set up here so you can kind of see what you do with the backhoe, because it's all gonna be done from the backhoe from now on. You're gonna have to get the top link off first. So this top link has tension on it, and you can't turn this top link to loosen it. So what you're gonna do is push the backhoe straight down on the ground, and that's gonna loosen this up. So you just kind of push down a little until this gets loose. Once this is loose, you're ready to pull your pin and take your top link completely off. Go ahead and just hook it back up on the tractor. You're done with it. Now there is nothing holding this backhoe on the tractor. So what you're gonna do now, this subframe is slid underneath the tractor. We're gonna push down on the backhoe until the front of the subframe hits the ground. Then we're gonna use the crowd of the backhoe to pull it off of those hooks. So right now, if you just push it down, you're gonna see that frame starting to go down in the front. Now we're gonna pull it ahead a little bit, and this backhoe's off. It's off of the front, it's off of the back. We're just gonna let it creep down and set down on the ground. And it's virtually off of this tractor. Now a lot of guys are gonna ask, what do I do with this backhoe? Do I use the stabilizers to do that? It doesn't work real good, so I don't use them at all to do that. But when you're storing it, you might want to go ahead and store it with these just straight out, no pressure on them, but just to keep the backhoe from trying to roll over, fall over. And then I would recommend cutting a piece of wood that would go right here. If you put you a little piece underneath that, as soon as you pull the tractor forward and when you take all the pressure off of it, this won't settle, allowing that front end to come up in the ground or up in the air so that you can't back the tractor over the top of it. But for right now, this is all you kind of really needed to do, and I'm going to show you what you're going to do to get it unhooked. Once you shut the tractor off, take the pressure off your loader, and this is where I was saying you would like to have a block of wood back here, because if not, when you go to move this, everything starts moving, and it will keep moving until that rests down on the ground, and it's going to end up causing you some issues with it. And so it's nice to just be able to get the pressure off of it. If you had a block, it would hold on to that. But anyway, once you get that pressure off, you're going to unhook your couplers. There's one female and one male on the backhoe. I usually tell a guy, go ahead and just hook them right back together. And there's a female and a male on the tractor. If you do not hook the tractor hoses back together, your 3-point will not work, and it loads the engine down something fierce on the tractor. You'll see this, it's this hose here, it will just stiffen right up, and the tractor will start pulling down unless you use the loader. When you go to pull the loader valve, you'll hear the engine lead up, but when you put the neutral or the loader valve back in neutral again, it will load that. And that is, your oil is power beyond on this tractor, so it goes from your pump into your loader valve, from your loader valve back to this hose, from this hose into your rock shaft housing to run your 3-point. If you have this unhooked, that oil can't make a circuit, and you're deadheading the oil right in the circuit on there, and that's why your 3-point won't work. Your 3-point will still go down because it doesn't take any pressure to go down, but it won't come back up again. So this hose has to be hooked back together on this particular series of backhoes. Some of them don't, but this one here does. So at this point, it's 100% taken off, and you could get on your tractor and you can take your tractor and take off with it and you're fine. So the next question that we get asked all the time is, how do I put the 3-point back on the tractor? What does that entail? What is needed? What's not needed to make it work? When we send you a tractor out, we will have these arms assembled for you like this. It's very possible you get them and they're not assembled like this, but this is what they need to look like. You should have a right-handed arm that comes out, it has a crook and goes straight. You should have a stabilizer bar, and you should have an adjustable link on the right side. And then you should have this another arm that bends to the left and comes out straight, a stabilizer and a bar. That is what your 3-point should be, and that's the part that has to come off whenever you go to put the backhoe on or to take the backhoe off. These have to be moved. It's a pretty simple process. You need a 17mm socket, and those pins that your backhoe was hooked on have to come out. So they're just 2 nuts. Hold those on both sides, and then this pin will come out. You need to be able to take that pin out, and then you need to be able to go to the other side and take that pin out, because that's where your 3-point's actually going to pin back on. So once you have those sockets off, or those nuts off, and your pins are out, you're going to pin the back part of your 3-point back right into that. So that's going to go into there. That's going to go, if my feet weren't in the way. So that one's back on. I'm going to put them on there so it just don't fall off real quick, but we're not going to tighten them up because we're going to take them right back off. Then, make sure your stabilizer is turned around. Matter of fact, I might have already messed that up. I'm going to take that back off. So you can see what I just did. If you put that on that way, that stabilizer can't turn around. Then you're going to end up doing this again. Okay, so once you have down there, your lift arm pins up to this yoke up here on the top. So you're just down to get that pin out, and then your lift arm just goes straight up, pins right there. Put your little clip back in it. Then your stabilizer pins down here on the bottom. This will be the same for both sides. And the stabilizer is what makes the 3-point so it doesn't slide side to side wildly and then hit your tires and run into everything else you got as far as the implement goes. If you don't use these, you will tear stuff up on your tires. Sorry, this is kind of awkward for me to get at with that hand, with the camera right there. There. So if you don't use that, your arms can come out here and get in your tires, which is not what you want to have. But yet in the same token, you'd like to have, if you have a rototiller or something, you don't want it moving anyway, you're going to want to use your stabilizers in there. There are guys that take these completely off and don't use them, but for the most part, you're going to want them. So that's your left side on. Now when you go to your right, it's the exact same thing. Don't do the same mistake we just made on the other side. Put this pin in. Your 2 nuts. Your lift arm pin. That pin has a flat spot on it that goes up against a flat spot back here. So you got to have that turned the right way, or else it won't line up and won't go through far enough for you to put your pin in. Get that on, and then you're going to put your little clip in. There. So your 3-point is now 100% back on, other than tightening the bolts. That sets everything up on the tractor, and it should, when you use your controls to go down, we'll see if that's locked up. You should be able to go down now, and then when you start the tractor and raise it up, that'll allow that to go up. Going down, we do get that question quite often. If that's all the way up and doesn't have any weight on it, it's possible that might not go down on its own. It's possible you go put your lever down and that stays there, where you got to push down on it to get it to go down, but that's what it should be doing on there that way. When you're done with the 3-point and you want to put the backhoe back on, it's basically a reverse order of what we just did. So I'm going to take this back off. It's nothing more than just doing exactly opposite of what we just did. Take your lift pin out. It don't matter if you leave the pin in that arm or in the tractor. We usually put them back in the tractor side, but if you left them in the arm, you wouldn't be wrong either. Take your 2 nuts off. Take your pin out, and your 3-point comes off. Now your pin does need to go back in, because that's the pin that the backhoe rides on, and that needs to be bolted or tightened down now, because we're going to go put the backhoe back on. put this pin back in, and it's ready to put the backhoe back on. So it doesn't take you very long to do it, to get the 3-point on, to get the 3-point off. It just, like I said, a 1 wrench and a little bit of time, you'll be able to put everything back on. The 3-point, the biggest deal on that is I've had some guys that tear that 3-point all apart and take all those pieces off in order to move it. They'll take all this apart. It's really not necessary, and it makes you keep track of 6 pieces instead of 2. And on top of that, it gets kind of cumbersome when you go to put it back on. You don't know which side was what, which piece went on what. But basically, that's what you're wanting to do. So now we're gonna go put it back on the tractor, or the backhoe back on the tractor. And you're gonna be looking here to just back over the top of it and get close enough to get your hydraulic hoses on. If you look at that backhoe right now, there is a couple things, like you can see why you would want a block under the back end to keep this front end from coming up. And then the other thing is you can see those 2 little doors that are down that the end of the backhoe is sitting on. Those, don't be alarmed if you're taking that off and those doors fold over. It'll kind of slide back and kind of make a boom, but it ain't gonna hurt anything. It's just that the weight of the backhoe is sitting on them, and you might have pulled it so that it flops off of that. So once again, you want to get that pretty well centered over the tractor. It don't have, or over the backhoe. It don't have to be perfect, because I'm going to show you how to do it when it's not perfect. But you want to get close enough to hook up your hoses. So let your loader down, take the pressure off your loader, unhook your hoses. And like I said, you can see I sprayed oil all over the place here, but we're going to make it work regardless. Okay, so once those are hooked up, your backhoe's live. And our goal now is to put those hooks on those pins. You do have to watch out for this PTO shield. I'll show you how to kind of avoid hitting this, but we got to get that hook to go on those pins on both sides. And you can use the swing of the backhoe to kind of help compensate for that. So we're going to go ahead and start it. And we're going to raise the backhoe up. So like I was saying, you want to watch out for that shield. There, that was the noise you'll hear when those little doors flop over. Like I said, don't get scared of that, but it can happen while you're doing it. So if you look, those little hooks are getting very close to hitting on that platform. So we actually need to come back just a little bit. So what I do is I just run the tractor from the ground. I just take it here and just hit the reverse pedal and back it up into the backhoe a little bit. We just needed to get it closer. And now you're gonna see that we're about, a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. We need to get this up in the air a little, like so, maybe just a hair more. Now we should be able to back up into that. And it's gonna kind of back up into there and lock on. So, once you get the hooks to go in there, my side over here is in, this side is not, but you can use the hoe of the backhoe to push that on. So if you looked, what I just did was kind of push it and let it down, and we're gonna let it down, and we're gonna swing it a little to that side, and it's on. So we use the swing to straighten it up, and now your hooks are sitting on where they need to be. Now you're gonna raise your backhoe, and it's gonna just start hinging on those pins, and it's gonna flip that front piece right up where it needs to be. Just wanted to show you what it looks like from there. When I just had those hooks on, it looked like that. That was down on the ground. But once you start raising the backhoe, this is gonna go down and just swing that right up there into the front of the tractor. And then it should be on there. I'm gonna shut this off so you can hear a little better. At this point, you're just gonna crawl under there. You're gonna take your 2 pins with you. And there's not a lot of room down here, but those little doors get flipped up. I'm gonna put my pins too close. There we go. Put your pins in. And then these are little snap pins. Snap those on. And that locks those on. Now that those are on, you need to put your top link back on. So we're gonna start the tractor. And this is in the same order as we were before. You want to lift it up because we want this top link to pull this on forward as much as we can. So you just kind of lift it up until it starts to lift the tractor. Take your top link. Pin it back on. Tighten this down as tight as you can. Like there. Lock that back on. And it's all back on again. You're ready to go digging. So that was just a quick overview. If you have the 15 series Branson, the 15 series TYM, the 20 series Branson, or the 20 series TYM, this Backhoe system is virtually the same on all of those. That is how you would put it on if you're by yourself. If you have two people and you have somebody to drive for you, sometimes that helps just a little bit, but you can sure do it by yourself. You can do it fairly quickly. But that should give you an idea of what it takes to put that on there. I'm Devin Varner from Varner Equipment in Delta, Colorado. You can visit our website at varnerequipment.com, or you could sure call us at our office if you had any questions. If you're looking for a product or questions and answers, give us a call, 970-874-0612. Thank you.